to continue our journey into BMW. W's history. This time we're going for a BMW Z. Do you know what the Z stands for? It means Zukunft, future in German. I guess it's BMW's way of promising they'll always keep innovation and experimentation in sight. No special words from Mark, but don't worry, Anna has a lot to say about this car. Target locked. Good luck.
The Z4. For a few moments, let's put aside vehicles designed for extreme racing and enjoy just driving for the pleasure of driving. Well, I mean, you still have an aggressive opponent in this race, of course. Where's the fun without one? BMW Z models are what we call roadsters. Two-seaters made for relaxing behind the wheel, appreciating the scenery and the thrill of speed. And look at that. We just have the perfect spot and the perfect weather to enjoy this ride. The only thing you're missing is the wind in your hair. But you are driving a coupe cabriolet, so I guess you could theoretically enjoy the open air if you wanted to. Your car is the Z4 E89, a very cool model for two major reasons. Number one, it's the very first BMW to have been designed by two women, Juliana Blasi for the exterior and Nadia Arnaud for the interior. They wanted to break the classic roadster image with a car inspired by the human body, athletic and beautiful, designed for all driving enthusiasts. And number two, the E89 has indeed been adapted into a real racing car, the famous, beautiful, and successful Z4 GT3. That's an obvious part of my passion for this car. I own the car you're driving. And did I forget to tell you that? I know what you're thinking. It's not as sporty as the others. And that's true. But on weekends, where I'm far away from the races, it's the perfect car for open road. And number two, the E89 has indeed been adapted into a real racing car. The famous, beautiful, and successful Z4 GT3. That's an obvious part of my passion for this car. I own the car you're driving. And did I forget to tell you that? I know what you're thinking. It's not as sporty as the others. And that's true. But on weekends, where I'm far away from the races, it's the perfect car for open roads. As an expression of freedom. Would you say the same?
The next event is going to be really different from the previous ones. Motorfest really wanted to show how diverse and surprising BMW can be. I won't say more, except that you'll have to go to the top of the mountain to see the starting grid. And you'll see, the beginning of this race is going to be memorable.
What I call a jump. I'm glad you survived that one. Hold on tight. The descent ahead is more dangerous than it looks. moments that we all like to go off-roading from time to time. I gotta admit, it's not where I'm at my best, but I really wanted to get off the beaten track at least once during this playlist. BMW and off-roading have a strong history. They were famous in the Dakar Rally in the 80s, and they've been building bikes designed for the wilderness ever since. Your ride is one of them. It's an R1200 GS, and at BMW, every bike marked with the GS letters is a bike made for adventure. And adventures, they can happen anywhere, you know? On the edge of the unknown, or just on the street from your house. So they need to be prepared for every occasion. They're built for both city riders and budding explorers. Well, to be fair, this one's being prepped by Motorfest, so it's a little more suited for the extreme conditions than the ones you could find in a regular shop. But he's a good one. Race. You're not doing too bad.
Next race will be once again focused on BMW M vehicles. Speaking of which, do you know where the famous M colours come from? That combination of blue, purple and red? In the 1970s, BMW Motorsport wanted the American oil company Texaco as one of their sponsors. So, to win them over, they incorporated Texaco's red to the design of their first cars. When the deal was rejected, they decided to improve their livery by adding an extra blue line, the official color of Bavaria, home of BMW. Then, to complete it, they finally added a purple line in between. And just like that, the BMW M colors came to life. Of course, nowadays, BMW says that the red color stands for motorsport, not for Texaco. But I'm sure you'll think of it the next time you see the M logo.
up against BMW's finest, a collection of some of the latest M models. See that white car? That's an M8, a 625 horsepower monster made for everyday use. And the dark gray one over there? An M5 CS. We'll talk about her later, but let's just say that this series has been producing missiles since the 70s and it's not about to stop. The other ones are M2s and M4s. They come from series born in 2013 and 2014. Racing them is gonna be tough. The road is narrow, with a lot of sharp bends and not many places to accelerate. Overtaking here is a challenge. You have to use the occasional straights with guts and confidence. Clearly my kind of track. To give you a fair chance of winning, we put you behind the wheel of the fastest production car BMW has ever made. The M4 CSL. Yeah, you heard me. A CSL. BMW only made 3 of these in 50 years. The first one was the 3.0 you drove earlier, and this is the third. And to make it even more prestigious, you can even notice a special emblem on her body celebrating BMW M's 50th anniversary. So the real question is, does she live up to the CSL legacy? Well, she hits 200 kilometers per hour in only 10 seconds and holds the BMW record on the famous Nürburgring circuit. What more is there to say? You better win with a car like that.
Be kind, rewind.
Competition, sport, and lightweight. I hope you felt that DNA at every turn.
Wonderful race, driver. Now let's head to Maui's volcano for the next event. be driving the i8, the first plug-in hybrid sports car to go into series production. It's still as impressive as it was 10 years ago, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Okay, be careful. This outrun requires your utmost concentration. One mistake or two, and you're sure to lose. Stay sharp. I won't distract you too much, but I still gotta talk about that spaceship you're driving. Yeah, I'm sorry to call it that, but I'm sure you were thinking the same thing. And hey, I don't mean it in a bad way. I love the way she looks. The BMW i8 is a car that stands out from the crowds. It's actually hard to believe she's indeed a production car and not just a concept. Like, it's crazy how futuristic she looks, even though she was revealed more than 10 years ago. The contrast of her colors highlights all her curves. And there's something about the way she's shaped that makes her intriguing and elegant at the same time. I'm glad the sun hasn't fully risen yet, because I find her even more beautiful at night. Those U-shaped taillights give her so much personality. You might be wondering what's the story behind that car. Well, it all goes back to the early 2010s when BMW I was created to develop a range of electric and hybrid vehicles within the brand. Only two models came out of it, the compact i3 and the i8, the sports car you're driving. There were never any others because they updated their strategy. Rather than creating a separate lineup, they now implement their technologies into their main series. A smart move, I guess. But I would have loved to see more cars like this one. Wouldn't outrun you.
I'm afraid we're heading towards the last event of this playlist. Yes, I know. Already. But we're not going to say goodbye without one last hooray. This final race, you'll be driving not one, but 3 of BMW's finest vehicles. And I hope you've got some time to spare, because this isn't going to be a short trip.
BMW M is a sort of brand shaper for the whole BMW AG, because the image and the reputation BMW M has created is always related to sportiness and to peak performance. One of the hugest separations between maybe other manufacturers is the fact that a BMW is always sporty. The customer expects a sort of sportiness. He wants to drive it, he wants to feel the passion behind the wheel. And this is BMW.
Get ready. The weather is perfect for going on a long road trip. We're putting 3 BMW MCS to the test over very long distances, and it's your job to drive them one after the other. You remember what CS means? It's competition sport, the sportiest editions of BMW M. As you can see, we didn't even bother to close the roads, so you'll have to deal with the traffic. But you have no trouble dodging it, right?
again.
That wasn't an easy start, but you managed it like a pro. You've probably recognized the car you're driving. It's the M5 F90 CS, the one you went up against a bit earlier. The 5 Series is the oldest in the history of BMW. Not the oldest car, of course, but the first series they launched when they started this classification in the 70s. It's just crazy how much power there is in a car like that. She weighs almost 2 tons, and she's over 5 meters long. And in spite of that, she has 635 horsepower and can reach 100 kilometers per hour in only 3 seconds. For a sedan? Wow. Like, imagine taking your kids to school with this. The temptation to step on the gas is way too strong. She might be too dangerous for your own good. However, her design is, well, let's just say it's not my favorite, but I see why people love it. It's just not sporty enough for my taste. But I must admit, I love the golden bronze color they added to the rims and front grille. That's her signature. It's so cool.
One more time.
And now we have an M3 G80 CS from 2023. We've come a long way since the E30. Don't you think it looks a lot like the M4 CSL? On the front end, mostly. Well, that's normal. Actually, the 3 and 4 series share the same engine and chassis base. Before 2014, the 3 Series models were released in a large number of variations. Ugh, like, too many variations. So, ultimately, they decided to make things clearer. On the one side, there's the 3 Series with sedans and estate cars, and on the other, the 4 Series with coupes and cabriolets. And that's the main difference between the two. What do you think about her design? Personally, I love how aggressive she looks. The size of the double kidney grille divides BMW fans, but I think it gives her so much character. icing on the cake, the brand new M2 G87 CS from 2025. And you can try her here exclusively for the first time. BMW are so proud of her that they regard her as part of the BMW 2002 Turbo Heritage, and now it's one of the most beloved cars of the 70s. So, does she deserve this honorific comparison? I'll let you drive her for a bit, before giving my opinion. She can go. She's obviously the fastest M2 ever. But what I love most about her is her uncompromising design. People will be divided just like the M3 and M4, but I'm a fan. I mean, look at this. It's her production form, and it already looks like a professional tuner has fitted her with one of the coolest kits around. Probably too soon to say, but I think she's my fave. Among the three of them, of course. I think it's simply more fun to drive.
would say I use like a jet. You know, like you can see the fire from the exhausts, like full time. You risk your life.
Get ready. The weather is perfect for going on a long road trip. We're putting 3 BMW MCs to the test over very long distances, and it's your job to drive them one after the other. You remember what CS means? It's competition sport, the sportiest editions of BMW M. As you can see, we didn't even bother to close the roads, so you'll have to deal with the traffic. But you have no trouble dodging it, right? That wasn't an easy start, but you managed it like a pro. You've probably recognized the car you're driving. It's the M5 F90 CS, the one you went up against a bit earlier. The 5 Series is the oldest in the history of BMW. Not the oldest car, of course, but the first series they launched when they started this classification in the 70s. It's just crazy how much power there is in a car like that. She weighs almost 2 tons, and she's over 5 meters long, and in spite of that, she has 635 horsepower and can reach 100 kilometers per hour in only 3 seconds. For a sedan? Wow. Like, imagine taking your kids to school with this. The temptation to step on the gas is way too strong. She might be too dangerous for your own good. However, her design is, well, let's just say it's not my favorite, but I see why people love it. It's just not sporty enough for my taste. But I must admit, I love the golden bronze color they added to the rims and front grille. That's her signature. It's so cool. And now we have an M3 G80 CS from 2023. We've come a long way since the E30. Don't you think it looks a lot like the M4 CSL? On the front end, mostly. Well, that's normal. Actually, the 3 and 4 series share the same engine and chassis base. Before 2014, the 3 series models were released in a large number of variations. Ugh, like too many variations. So ultimately, they decided to make things clearer. On the one side, there's the 3 series with sedans and estate cars, and on the other, the 4 series with coupes and cabriolets. And that's the main difference between the two. What do you think about her design? Personally, I love how aggressive she looks. The size of the double kidney grille divides BMW fans, but I think it gives her so much character. finally, the icing on the cake. The brand new M2 G87 CS from 2025. And you can try her here exclusively for the first time. BMW are so proud of her that they regard her as part of the BMW 2002 Turbo Heritage, and now it's one of the most beloved cars of the 70s. So, does she deserve this honorific comparison? I'll let you drive her for a bit, before giving my opinion. She can go. She's obviously the fastest M2 ever. But what I love most about her is her uncompromising design. People will be divided just like the M3 and M4, but I'm a fan. I mean, look at this. It's her production form, and it already looks like a professional tuner has fitted her with one of the coolest kits around. Probably too soon to say, but I think she's my fave. Among the three of them, of course. I think it's simply more fun to drive. BMW M2 CS, a legend in the making.
There's a reward vehicle waiting for you.
All right, let's keep talking.
I would say I use like a jet. Like you see it's fire from the exhaust, like full time. We risk our life, but here's what it is, like and hopefully you get a good machines. I want to have like proper missile and
Congratulations, driver. You just completed the BMW playlist. It's time for you to get your reward. Let's get back to the container.
really done.
Yeah, the one with the like Tommy gun with the...
Yeah, that one, yeah. And oil weapon.
Yeah, okay.
If you care for the drive and are not in the mood for using fast travel, let me tell you a few things about that reward.
Yeah.
It's a car you already know very well, the Batmobile. No, I don't mean the one from the movies. I'm talking about the 3.0 CSL. That was its nickname in the 70s.
Hi, my name is Becky and welcome to Motorfest podcast.
It was called that because of its aerodynamic spoiler.
Brought to you by Red Bull and Ubisoft's iconic game, The Crew Motorfest. This is the podcast where I get to chat.
And a little fun fact, that spoiler was also featured in the street-legal version of the car. But to be allowed to sell it in Germany, BMW had to deliver it in the trunk. The customers had to mount it themselves.
One of the world's leading motorsport athletes.
I can't wait to see you explore Hawaii in this historic car.
Helmet is their passion for all things speed, wings and wheels. And the really cool thing is, you can actually listen into this podcast while you're playing the game. Today's guest was born with some serious athlete instincts. I'd be very surprised if you hadn't seen or heard of him. His name is Yuki Tsunoda, and what he's most famous for is his electrifying talent on the F1 grid. He's been racing for about 20 years. Well, that's if you also include his career as a kid go-karter, growing up in Sekihanara, about an hour away from Tokyo. He lives in Italy currently, but he's joining me today here in Milton Keynes. Yuki, thanks so much for being here, and welcome to the show. How are you?
Amazing. Yeah, just in the UK. Just moved back from Brazil. Yeah, just having a 2-week gap, so excited for a bit of rest now.
So let's jump straight into it, Yuki. You've been described as a person who likes to do when you talk into it, someone who knows exactly what you want, and you're unashamed and unafraid to express it. And in terms of your identity as a driver, you're known for quite a modern driving style. Could you break down what you feel your driving style is for us watching you on the screen?
My driving style, mainly, I have good confidence in the braking, so, I'm good at attacking the braking, so you can use that also, the 1 lap, 45 lap, hot lap, and also to overtake someone. I think this is coming from the karting skills, where when I was very, very young, like, 13, 20, 12 years old, whatever, my dad used to teach me a lot about braking, and that kind of base of DNA still inside my driving skill, and definitely I like to have braking. Recently, last Grand Prix was a bit too much sometimes, and yeah, unfortunately a couple of times went to the wall, but still have good confidence, and it feels great when you feel the G-force, the maximum longitudinal G-force when you have nailed the braking.
How do you feel that you have evolved as a driver over these years, obviously starting in go-karting and then to present day?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. When I was karting, a lot of emotional things that probably, as a human, I was growing significantly, fast, especially those times. And at some point, I didn't really like much motorsports. I got distracted by. Very active. So I tried like downhill, mountain biking, swimming, a lot of kind of stuff, skateboarding for example, and but yeah, it's.
biggest experiences here.
The podcast is back on. Our guest still
Let's give the new playlist a spin.
has plenty of things to say.
Right, like downhill, mountain biking, swimming, yeah, a lot of kind of stuff, skateboarding, for example, and but yeah, I knew somewhere in my mind that motorsport is the thing that I'm very good at, and I started 4 years old, and there's always strong passion inside my heart, so yeah, I started. It's kind of went through those moments and people throughout the years, and yeah, especially compared to first year Formula 1, which was 2021, and compared to now, it's a lot different. Even like 4 years, this kind of environment makes my mindset. I was very strong as a human, not just inside of racing, also outside of racing. Yeah, I feel like in general, race I feel grown.
That explains so much. When I watched you on that Red Bull series where it was you driving and sports, you absolutely shone because it was just like getting to do other things and you were so happy and excited.
Yeah, serious racing, I think that track race with the vehicle that we don't normally race with, and adaptation to that it's quite key, and it's probably because of us doing a lot of sports, we get used to it because adaptation some sports and everything, so.
You've got an incoming call from a certain Daddy Dog 303. I'm picking it up.
Hey, D, it's Weasel. Remember? From Dog V Lowrider. My dude, I got a plan I think you might like. A party. A little underground racing. Maybe a chance to make a few bucks.
I don't see this activity on the Motorfest lineup. Might be better to avoid engaging in such things.
Now hold on there, girl. Don't kill my buzz just yet. You got...
That's why I'm good at it, and also the moments I feel a lot of adrenaline, like, oh, I have to go flat out. I go flat out from straight away from the, once I hold the steering and see how it goes, and those kind of moments that really get excited.
Yuki, I feel like you'd make a great drift driver. From everything you've just said there, I think you'd be very good.
Hear me out. Listen, I ain't quit Hawaii after our little contest against them lowriders. I stuck around with a cousin of mine, did a little business, made a few deals, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, my cousin overheard some folks talking about some street races that's going on right now. Thing is, when he asked them about it, they just froze and got all weird and shady. Couldn't get them to speak another word. There ain't no secret safe from me, D. I'm finna find out like that Huggy Bear brother. So that's what I did. See, the whole thing ain't part of Motorfest. They off the grid like that. Crew goes by the name of Monkey's Kitchen.
I can't.
That's not all. I know where they hang out, too. And I also happen to know that they'll welcome any new street rider, as long as they got a free spirit and a big BMW. Yeah, they got a thing for them European cars. What do you think? You in? Of course you are. Yeah. Cara, bring my baby D to the spot I'm sending you. That's where that Monkey's Kitchen is.
Mr. Weasel, I'm only programmed to guide festival goers to Motorfest activities.
Oh, come on now. How you gonna be like that when we try to have a good time? Be like an AIWA, know what I'm saying?
I am not sure what that means.
AI with attitude.
Oh, okay. All right, I guess. Let's find the monkeys.
Now that's what I want to hear. See you, folks.
They see you in a drift car.
Hey, I love drifting, when I was in karting, rain condition, for example, like, you can drift around, right? Like, it's literally, corner entry, it's actually sometimes good to drift a little bit to rotate the car and, to drive fast in the corner. But current Formula 1, like, it's hard to drift, you can drift, but not the drift that probably every people thinking about. It's not like auto drift, you can't just drift all the way through a corner. Sometimes actually drifting is good training for us because of, it's still, there's a lot of sliding, while in the hot lap. But because of we got used to too much with the grip, that trying to not slide too much, sometimes you can't really react as much as you used to be. So
Yeah.
actually drifting training is some drivers does it, and actually some point even like when I went back to Japan, I did some time on the snow, doing something drifting and just have fun. Yeah.
This is a question that I'm asking all of my guests in all seriousness. If you could be a car, a plane, a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
Oh, good question. I'm thinking either plane or motorbike. I think a plane is quite good. Just you can fly around, but probably it'll be boring. You see just same view all the time. So above the clouds. So I'll choose motorbike.
Yeah, we're like trying to match people's personalities with which vehicle they take. I love the fact that you chose the plane. You're like, well, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Just floating about up there. Oh, we'll take the motorbike.
I'm actually quite easy to get boring with any sports. Probably that's why I got distracted with a lot of sports. That's probably one of the reason that I got distracted. But yeah, it's just easy to get bored.
Yeah, that's my favorite tagline from this podcast. Yuki Tsunoda, great driver, easily distracted.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you've been driving for a very long time. Your father was a mechanic and a former car racer himself. How has his influence been pivotal on your career?
Yeah, definitely my dad. Yeah, influenced my career a lot of parts, and like I said previously, that for example, driving, part of my driving skill that I have a lot of confidence in the braking. Definitely my dad gave a lot of tips about braking, and he's the one who always saying like, when you start, first thing you enter to the corner, the first thing you do is braking, right? Maybe some corners doesn't do it, but that brake, how you brake will affect your car movement afterwards. So braking is actually really important part of the corner. And yeah, like he loved to do something mechanics, like touching some cars, karting and set up the cars, and also probably he used to do a bit of motorsports as well. So he enjoyed doing a lot of doing motorsports with me. And I think he was always part of my career until especially like 14 years old. He was very strict. I started 4 years old. Like we started casually, and once I actually started to win, probably he saw there's my bit of talent to myself, and maybe he thought probably we thought that maybe we can be professional driver at some point, but to step up like that way, we need to be more serious to motorsports, and he's the one started a bit more serious and strict. And that's why one of the reasons that I sometimes didn't like motorsports, because he was always the person like angry, mad at me, like when I have bad race, he's the one who very mad at me and didn't really enjoy it. But without those things and without his teach or taught, like lessons, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, I very appreciate him.
I think it makes a better driver, genuinely. I did go-karting when I was 7 years old, and my dad was always like, it's okay, sweetie. I remember hitting I remember the cone in the middle of the track, to separate the pack for the transponders. I just drove straight through it, and I came off the track, and my dad was like, it's okay, sweetheart. we'll go again next time. Clock forwards, I'm not a champion driver, so I can totally appreciate the strictness from dads. It definitely gives you a good level of discipline.
Sometimes actually, I was always watching the drivers or the family that's parents teaching to their kids very kindly, and I was always compared to my situation with my dad, like Dad, I would love to have like that kind of bit of kindness, when you teach me something, because like sometimes it's a bit too much strict, but probably because of he know my personality, like I don't really recognize until I experience something really bad. Then probably he knew about my personality, especially those kind of, I would say negative side, but one of the bit of weakness of myself to progress the karting, and that's why he was being very aggressive to me.
You were 7 years old when you went to your first F1 race. That must have made a huge impact. Like, what can you remember from that very first F1 race?
First time I saw Formula One, like you said, 7 years old, when I went to Fuji Speedway in Japan, Japanese Grand Prix. I think initial impression from Formula One was just too loud. First of all, the engine sound, and I remember like I was always covering the ears. To be honest, obviously, if I hear it now, it's just amazing sound, like V10, you know, like it's so cool. But at that point, I was like get annoyed with that sound every time the cars come, you know, pass in front of me. You just have to always cover the ear, and still you can hear through the, you know, the hands. So yeah, it's like I didn't really have a good impression about Formula One, but at the same time, I got impressed about the environment, you know, how the Formula One race works, and all the drivers, how the high quality drivers are. And definitely I dream about, one day I want to be a Formula One driver. Hopefully next year.
I mean, taking that thought and cut to 2020 and your first experience driving an F1 car. The test session at Imola circuit, you were driving the Toro Rosso STR13. Can you describe that car and those crazy first sensations when you drove it?
I still remember the first time I drove Formula One. It was like, first of all, I got impressed by the initial low steering on G-force after I accelerate. Just like the acceleration power I felt was you can't compare with anything. But then you go until then, just so much power. And even actually, the first time I drove was rain condition, you know, less grip obviously because rain condition is slippery, so you can't experience fully. It's like dry condition, so you can't really feel the full power of Formula One, but still, with the rain condition, feel massive power. And also, one thing I got really impressed most was the braking. So even rain condition, normally you press brake half of pressure compared to dry condition. So there's a bit of step compared to Formula 3. Formula 2, there's a change to carbon brake. With Formula 2, and I still remember Formula 2 first time brake. I still got surprised, but like 2, 3, 10 times more. Like one brake, like my neck went immediately forward, and like almost I touched the steering. Luckily not, but like, okay, no, oh damn, this braking is very like have a serious power, you know.